Hey, everybody, and welcome to And Action Filmmaking Podcast. I'm Tommy DiNucci. As always, I'm here with my co host, Mike Messier. And today we're going to get into what I think is a very productive topic. We're going to be talking about the wonderful world of film festivals. Everybody's heard about a film festival. We all know about Sundance. We all know about the Cannes Film Festival. But there really are so many of them then that might be just perfect for your movie. So today we're going to get into the do's, the don'ts, some of the things you might need to know before entering a film festival, and we're going to share some of our experiences with film festivals. Mike Messier here is our resident film festival expert. He actually runs his own film festival. So, Mike is definitely a great guy to be hearing some of this information from, and we're excited to get into it. But before we do that, got some great feedback on the show last week, Mike. I think a lot of people really liked our episode on how to write your first draft and just get that shit done.
Yeah, Tommy, I enjoyed it myself. As a matter of fact, I used some of your tips for some rewrites this past week of my own screenplays. One of your tips that I really liked was you said something about having too many characters, too many superfluous characters, meaning characters that maybe don't have any lines, or maybe they can be combined with other characters. And I actually used that advice to get rid of about 20 superfluous characters and 17 pages of a script. So that felt pretty good. So,
And I bet you, doesn't it always just feel so clean when you get rid of that? Clear the dead wood, to use a little bowling reference for my bowling fans out there.
yeah, and if you're talking about in the real world, if you're writing a script that maybe you think will never get made, sure, write it wherever you want. But if you're actually trying to get some type of, medium to low budget producer to look at your work and take it seriously as a possible thing to produce, do them a favor as a writer and make your script the most producible script you can offer before they even have to get a line producer or a first AD or the director to kind of look over it. Do some of that work yourself. But I don't want to backslide too much into the writing because film festivals. I run Avalonia Festival of short films, etc. And yeah, film festivals is a big topic for today, so we've got plenty to talk about.
It really is. But one last thing before we get into that, I just wanted to say we had a couple of holidays in a row. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there getting their hands dirty for their families, and happy Juneteenth to everybody. We hope everybody had a nice couple of days to chill and relax and spend some time with family. And, like I say all the time, once in a while, like if you're anything like me and people watching this show probably are most likely along this mindset, we can't help but think about movies all the time. Like it's just what we do is kind of like in our brain constantly. You can't shut it off. You're not going to like put the tool belt down and drop the tools and go away. It's in your brain, so you're always thinking about it. So we love holidays. It's a nice chance to just kind of breathe, take a reset button, and it always helps when you get back at it. But enough of that. Let's get right into the fun. Let's talk all about film festivals. So I just want to start with, let me tell you something, man. Film festivals can be a blast. I don't want to spend too much time on this, and maybe towards the back end of the show we'll get back into it. My greatest film festival experience was I went to Sundance as a guest. I didn't have a movie playing in Sundance, but I did get to go to Sundance. I did get to walk up and down that strip and see everybody with their fancy fur hats on and cowboy hats and all the excitement. And what a beautiful time. What a beautiful festival. They really can be a remarkable thing. And when I say they, I mean film festivals. So really, Mike, let's just talk about it. For those who know nothing about this, if you were a 4-year-old child watching And Action, I don't know why you would be, but maybe you're with your parents. Tell everybody what a film festival is really all about. What's it about?
Film festival can be anywhere from half a day to 2 weeks long. It's typically in one city. It could be one or more venue. And basically, it's a display, an exhibition, a series of screenings of films. They can be feature films, they can be short films. Sometimes you have major releases. A lot of times you have independent films, out of pocket films. They can be genre specific. You could have a horror film festival. You could have a festival that's regionally based. I think, Tommy, it might be okay to, if you don't mind, we can basically dedicate this episode to our friend George Marshall, who ran a great festival, the Rhode Island International
I
Film
gotta
Festival.
stop. I gotta stop you there. You're giving me chills because Mike writes Mike and I share the notes the night before. We'll go back and forth. We'll put them together, and then I'll usually send them to Mike either in the morning or that night. And he didn't get this new set of notes, but Mike, in my most recent set at the end, I said we're going to dedicate this episode to George Martin. So,
Marshall, yeah.
George Marshall. So yeah, really excited that you said something about that. George is a guy who we lost, and he just had such a passion for film festivals and supporting filmmakers and getting things out there, getting buzz out there. So that's really the essence of what a film festival is to me. That's why it's definitely worth it to mention George, because there's just a buzz, there's an excitement, it's a happening. I've been to film festivals where there's just a great level of excitement in the air. So whether you're going as a guest and you don't have a horse in the race, as they say, and you're just there to watch films and meet people, it's a great thing. And if you have a film in the festival, man, it's a really exciting thing. So why don't we move along just into some reasons? What are some reasons why you would enter your film into a film festival? And really, Mike, the first one is to generate buzz for your project, right? Because if you're entering into a film festival, your movie probably doesn't have the magic word distribution.
Right.
And that's every filmmaker's goal, is to obviously get somebody to take your film and get it blasted out to the world through distribution. And we've all heard of the Cinderella stories, movies like Napoleon Dynamite, movies like, that kind of come out of obscurity, really become the belle of the ball at a film festival, and suddenly that's it. They're off to the races. Every film journalist starts writing about the film, and people get excited about it. So a festival can literally change the life of a movie if it's a success.
And the filmmaker, I mean, Clerks, Kevin Smith, and he had great success in the festival circuit. I think Tarantino with Reservoir Dogs before Pulp Fiction. So yeah, there's a history there. Whether it's some of the bigger festivals, Sundance, Tribeca, and Cannes, I always think is the big three. And but yeah, there's a lot of opportunities that can come, and some realism too. We want to be realistic with our expectations.
It's almost like when a boxer wins an Olympic gold medal and then goes on to be a big prize fighter. It's like, well, they won the gold medal, they're an amateur fighter, but we all know they're gonna go on to do some big things. So yeah, the main reason to me, if you were to ask me, the number one reason why you'd get into a film festival, it's to generate some buzz. Before we go into the other reasons, let's say hey to some of our And Action folks. What's up, Stephen E?
Hi, Stephen E. How you doing, buddy?
Good to see you, my friend.
Oh, this is a new commenter, Michael Whitney. Is that a new commenter?
I think so. What's up, Michael? How you doing, Michael? Top of the Tuesday to you. Stephen E says do's and don'ts and the nitty gritty. The nitty gritties. That's right. We're gonna get into it today. We ain't gonna bullshit you. One thing about me and Mike, we might have all the answers, but we'll never bullshit you. Michael Whitney says, I can't wait to see the movies. Thank you, Michael. We really appreciate that. Got a new one coming out in a couple weeks that I'll tell you about a little bit later on the show. Steven says, Steven, you've been to the Rhode Island Film Festival. No kidding. Well, George Marshall, he was the guy behind the guy. He was, the number one guy over there, and we really we love those festivals, man. I had so many great times at the Rhode Island Film Festivals. Laza, watch out, everybody. Hurricane Laza is rolling in. Good day and greetings from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia.
I don't think Laza sleeps, because whatever time frame he's on in Australia, he's always up and doing stuff.
It's nice to have some friends on here. All right, so let's get back into it. Speaking of friends, the number two reason why you'd want to enter a film festival or even buy yourself a pass, a ticket, a 3-day pass, whatever the fuck, you want to go for networking. It's a great place to network. Think about it. Where else are you going to find one event, in one building, you're going to be able to see actors, producers, writers, directors? In some bigger film festivals, there might be agents there. There could be potential financiers. It's not a job fair. Don't take it the wrong way. But I've booked jobs at a film festival. Like, I've met people there that said, oh, your movie's really cool, and we have this project, and we were looking for a director. So, again, it's not, don't go in there thinking I'm going to walk out of here with a job, but it might just fucking happen. It can happen, because again, whenever will you get this kind of eclectic group of film people all in one room. And I stress this: don't be afraid to shake hands, meet people. It is very appropriate. I'm big on like giving people their space, right?
Sure.
Everybody probably gets me from that. I'm not a big pushy guy when it comes to like meeting people and give them their space, but it's totally appropriate at a film festival to walk up to name that anybody and say, "Hi, I loved your film," and shake their hand. Like that's not like, whoa, some people in 2023, everyone's very touchy, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is this guy?
Or lack of touchy.
Yeah, why are you coming up to me? I'd say that people are a little extra approachable at a film festival. Would you agree, Mike?
I think so because the idea is, like-minded people. That's a good term, and also everybody kind of most people know the score. You're there to enjoy the films, but also a lot of people in the audience are actors, writers, directors themselves, would-be producers, people just starting in the industry, people that have been around. The one thing, Tommy, about this entertainment profession, you're always looking for your next gig. So if you're a filmmaker who has a film in a festival, you know that a good amount of the people in the audience are either other filmmakers or would-be actors, and you should be open to kind of talking to them because that's part of the process. This is not, I go to the multiplex every week, Tommy, 3 or 4 times a week, but this is not like that. This is a bit more networking. This is a bit more community oriented for most festivals.
Yes, and like Stephen E says, Stephen agrees. I have gotten work by networking at film festivals. It can happen, people. It's probably more common than you think. And that brings me to my next point. Don't be afraid. Social media is a fun thing. We talk about it. Everybody's got a bone to pick about it sometimes. But let's face it. The reality is, it's a great way to promote yourself. So when you're at the festival, that's when you should be taking the pics. That's when you should be trying to meet people and take a bunch of photos with a bunch of people, make a bunch of new friends, and then get online and tag them. And that's how you kind of, it's one thing to shake hands with someone for 2 seconds at a film festival and then never talk to them again. But in 2023, thanks to social media, we have the ability to like, okay, I can meet you now, and then I'm gonna, okay, yeah, oh hey, you on Instagram? Oh great, I'll follow you. And then you never know, man. Now they're watching your life. Now they're involved in your life. They're seeing your cat pictures. They're seeing your Father's Day post, and suddenly a month or 2 months may go by, a year may go by, and they might say, "Oh shit, I've been fucking watching this guy's life for the last year. He's a pretty nice, he seems like a nice guy. I got this project. Maybe it'll work out." So it's like, take advantage of those contacts and don't just let it die with a handshake. And phone numbers are a little touchy, to be honest with you. Like sometimes me, and I'm a very private person, but when random people at a film festival ask me for my phone number, unless it's very obvious that there's cash attached to it, I'm probably not going to want to give my number out. So you can skirt that and still remain in contact with them by saying, "Oh, are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? I'll follow you." And now you got them.
You get a buffer. Yeah, just to clarify, you're not asking for direct money to give out your phone number. You mean cash in the possibility of paid work coming from
No, no,
exchanging
no.
numbers.
If you want my phone number, you have to pay fucking cold hard cash for it just to get
Well,
the number.
back in the, Tommy, if we were doing this show 10 or 15 years ago, I would make a push that everyone go out and go to Kinko's and get their business card made. First off, I don't think Kinko's exists anymore, but you can still get business cards made. Actors have been known to, make a stack of headshot resumes and bring them to film festivals. That's maybe borderline, but maybe it's not. I mean, the reality is, Tommy, I've played it safe a lot of times. I haven't pushed myself down people's throats, but I haven't advanced as much as I'd like. So maybe you have to be that kind of borderline obnoxious personality. But we don't want people to be like that, but I think everybody's got to kind of make their own way.
No, but you know what? I just had a good idea, and maybe someone at the show, watching the show, could use this. If someone ever approached me with a pair of business card sunglasses, and I mean like get yourself buy 1,000 cheap fucking sunglasses, and just write like your name and your info on the side, maybe even on the inside, I don't know, and hand them out. I would rock that, and I would respect someone if they came up to me and said, "Hey, look, I don't have a business card, but I've got these sunglasses with my name and number on it." I'd be like, "That's fucking crazy," and this guy's kind of cool. I wanted to know more about this guy.
I've been using the screen blocker glasses, Tommy. These are just to block out the blue light on the computer, but I won't wear them during our show.
Well, you look very educated, but isn't that kind of fun? Like a nice
Yeah.
little, like a business card on a cheap pair of sunglasses.
And people have done that, Tom. I've gone to festivals where they make coasters, like for your glasses. I have them
Sure.
here from the Fort Myers Beach Festival, and people have made, comp cards and keychains. And, man, it's interesting. There's so many things you can do. I went to a festival last summer, and a kid brought a stack of DVDs and was handing out his movie to people because he just wanted the exposure. So, I mean, there's different ways to do this.
I think in short, before we move on to our next topic of film festivals, if you are going to do something like that, always try to be unique. Don't be a fucking weirdo and have something be like inappropriate. I don't want to hand out like a phallic shaped business card or something stupid like that. Don't be none of that sophomoric bullshit, but do something unique that, if I met 50 actors that day and they all gave me the same fucking business card with their stupid headshot on it, maybe you did something a little different that stood out from the pack, or it's like, literally, even if like it's shaped differently, like something, just always try to be unique, because people remember that. They really do, especially in a business that's fueled by creativity.
Good point.
Thank you, Mike. All right, so let's move along. Number 3. All right, nobody likes to be judged. We literally have a colloquialism today. Judgment-free zone. Not judging. Not judging. But guess what? It's time to see how you stack up. It's time to be judged. You enter your movie into a film festival, and here's what's great about it. Whether it's a major success or whether it's kind of a fart, you're going to get legitimate feedback from people that aren't your friends. They're not your family. Your cousin didn't see it and say, oh, it's really good. These aren't people that worked on the movie, so they have a little extra love for the film. These are people that watched 200-300 movies in preparation of this festival. They are the most raw and kind of unbiased, like just hit me with it audience. And it's great that you're going to get a chance to see what they think about it. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying that's the end all be all. I'm not saying you should be depressed if they don't like your movie, but it is nice to get legitimate feedback from strangers.
Yeah, you're entering, and there's so many different festivals, Tommy. I think we should point out there's probably 10,000 film festivals in the world right now. I mean, I think there's 7,500 on Film Freeway alone. We'll get into that later. But, film is subjective, art is subjective. But there is a step that goes from showing your script to your brother, your sister, your fiance, your father, your mother, and then taking that script, making the movie, and then showing it at a festival or even entering it into a festival and having, like you said, strangers view your work and chime in with their opinions, good, bad, or indifferent. And, that's one thing I know we're going to point out later, Tommy, but just because you enter a festival, meaning you pay the submission fee to have them consider it, doesn't mean necessarily they're going to play it. So, I mean, there is a process here. Keep going, buddy.
We'll get into that for sure, Mike, and I'll let you drive the bus on that, because like I said, Mike runs a festival. Mike has probably entered into dozens, if not more, festivals. All right, let's move on. You know what I really like about film festivals, and I'm just going to come out and say it. We won't spend too much time on this. We just even touched upon it a little bit. I love the swag. I love the free shit. I love, you go into a film festival, you're usually going to get like maybe a hat, maybe a t-shirt, maybe a nice tote bag, maybe a notebook, maybe a pen, glasses. We mentioned some of the fun, unique trinkets. If you're a person who likes trinkets, and by God, I fucking love trinkets, you're going to like the film festival, because you're going to get a lot of nice little trinkets. That's all I get to say about that.
Yeah, Rhode Island International Film Festival gave out hats that were really well designed. They weren't cheapos. They were really nice. I remember you used to wear one. I used to wear one. Steve Feinberg at the film office.
Shout out to our buddy Steve Feinberg, the executive director of the Rhode Island Film and Television Office. He really pushes hard and does a lot of work to help get that Rhode Island Film Festival to where it is. And those hats are terrific. And you know what, Mike? I got to go find my RI film hat and dust that bad boy off. This is a true story. One time Steve came by my house and he had like a bag of them, and he goes, "Pass these out, buddy. Pass these out to the crew, okay?" And I go, "Absolutely." And I just like put him in my garage, and I forgot, and everyone went home. And so somewhere in the house, I've got like a dozen, like I've got maybe even 20 of these hats.
Wow.
So I'm gonna have to go hunt those down. All right. So we love the swag. Number 5, film festivals are a great way to educate yourself, even if you're just a spectator. Like one of the fun things about it is you go to some film festivals and you get to watch a Q&A with the filmmaker. You go to the movie, then you get to sit in on a Q&A and hear their thoughts, hear some of the challenges they might have had. And you're definitely going to learn something. Like every Q&A, you're going to take something from it, even if it's like this, this is something I wouldn't do it that way. Like whatever it is, you're going to get something out of it. And it's a nice way to, again, when I say educate yourself, it's not just Q&As. A lot of times they'll have like sometimes meet and greets with like, I went to a couple, like Martin Scorsese will occasionally appear at a film festival, like the biggest names in the who's of filmmakers. You'll find them at these film festivals, especially if they're, being handed some lifetime achievement award by the festival. You're going to see some big names. So it's great to get a chance to just hear some of these people speak.
As an example, Tommy, going back to Rhode Island International Film Festival, I saw Tim Robbins there one year, and I think the year before I saw Steve Buscemi, and they both with Cassell, Seymour Cassell, Steve Buscemi's friend, the actor, and these guys.
I love how you say Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi.
It's
How did
Buscemi.
Well, in any
He's
event,
one of my favorite actors. I love Steve, but it's cute how you said it.
I got to briefly speak to both of those guys, and I mean, talk about star power, and But here's the thing, Tommy. It doesn't have to be a big star. Sometimes just a local director or local producer who might be doing something next. If you're in the audience for one of those Q&As and you say, "Hey, I might want to show this person my work or show them my acting reel or something," like you said before, that's a great way to network with people.
Yes, and the final thing, what are some reasons to get in there and enter? To have fun. Like I said, I mean, life is short. We got to have these fun experiences once in a while. And it is a fucking blast when you have your movie at a film festival and your name is on the list there with the other films, and you get to go in there and sit in, and they're giving me X amount of tickets, and you can invite your friends and your family. And usually there are some fun parties if you're a person who likes to take part in fellowship like myself occasionally. It's a nice chance to put something on that expresses yourself. I like to, film festivals are fun because, fashion is a wonderful way to express yourself. And you'll often see a lot of really unique fashions and people that kind of wear things that you might not see on the street every day. And it's a place to go out and express your creative power and just to have fun and be with birds of a feather and people that are a lot like you, and just have a good time. I mean, it's nice to be in a room with a bunch of people that are kind of all doing the same thing. But here's the one thing that I will say about film festivals: do not make it a crabs in a bucket kind of a thing. And you're going to say, "What do you mean crabs in a bucket?"
What do you mean crabs in a bucket?
Well, picture a bunch of crabs in a bucket, right?
Yeah.
They just claw and climb all over each other, and they don't work together. I bet you if they said, "Hey, let's stack up on top of each other and we'll climb our asses out of this bucket," if they work together, they could probably get their crab asses out of the bucket. They have the physical ability to climb and stack, but instead, what do? They just fucking knock each other over, and they just claw and they fumble, and not one of those motherfucking crabs is smart enough to get out of the bucket. So what I mean by that is when you're at a festival, and I fell victim to this. When I was younger, I used to have a much worse ego, and I really did. And it's something that I've had to battle and put away. And sometimes life and time can take your ego and make it go from this to this. But when I was younger,
humble,
you get a little humbled by time and experience. And I remember my first couple film festivals sizing people up and thinking that it was like a contest and like, "Fuck you guys, my movie's better." Not that I ever said that, But in my mind, and then of course, when you're paranoid, all that is just like a result of a little bit of paranoia and maybe a little bit of, uh, just kind of like thinking that you have to be that way sometimes. Like you strive to be the best. And I remember like probably not embracing other filmmakers as much as I should have, and maybe being a little standoffish and maybe being afraid to approach people because it's almost like, well, they wouldn't like me anyway. We're all in competition with each other. But that's bullshit, man. Don't be the crabs in the bucket. You're all there to do the same thing. Let's, as they say, keep all the punches above the belt, nothing to the back of the head.
Well, Tommy, going back to the multiplex thing, I go to the multiplex and there's 12 different movies playing on 18 screens. So there's going to be big time movies like the Transformers or Fast and the Furious 10. And then there's going to be a smaller independent film like Sanctuary that I saw. My point is, just as a metaphor, there's more than one opportunity for people. And sometimes we get into this mindset of, if I make my movie, this other guy can't make his, or if he makes his movie, I can't make mine. Sometimes a state like Rhode Island can kind of reinforce that because there are limited resources at times. But the reality is it's a big world out there. And with the internet so prominent, you can open up your mind and your actions, more importantly, an action to all types of possibilities. So as you said, it's not about competition. It's about collaboration. Please, no wagering.
Well said, my friend. Okay, so let's move on now. We've talked about some of the fun and some of the excitement. Let's talk about things that you should know. Like, all right, you got a movie, and like Mike said before, doesn't have to be a feature. Plenty of short film festivals out there. There are literally like micro short film festivals where it's like a 60-second entry qualifies, or 2-minute entries. Very short films. But the first thing to know, and Mike brought this up earlier, but let's just hit it home again. Most of these festivals will have an entry fee. And just because you pay the entry fee does not mean you're going to get into the festival. And that's the tricky part. So before you enter into these festivals, a lot of times I think of it like almost choosing a college, in the sense where it's like, everybody wants to go to Harvard. You all want to be Ivy Leaguers, but the reality is you probably should have some safety schools in the mix too. So, like I remember when my movie Vault, we submitted Vault to the Sundance Film Festival, and I thought we had a pretty damn good shot in my mind. I really felt good about it, and we didn't get in. And that's one of my best movies ever, and it didn't get in.
And it had names in it and everything.
Oh yeah, big names and had everything going on for it, and it just didn't get in because it's that fucking difficult to get into a festival like Sundance. So again, that was kind of a humbling experience, and it wasn't cheap either. I don't quite recall exactly how much it was, but it's one of those things where don't just waste your money submitting your film to these massive film festivals, South by Southwest, and all these big festivals, if you don't, think that you're sort of on the playing field. So maybe one thing you can do might be smart to go back and watch what won the film festival last year and kind of see like, ooh, if I want to enter into this film festival, let me look up the movie that won that year. Can I watch it? Like, what kind of caliber are we talking? What are they looking for? Almost like scout them out a little bit and see what kind of movies are kind of tickling their fancy. Another thing, and Mike, you can get into this a little more, but like, most of these festivals, even if you do get in, they're not going to pay for the filmmaker's lodging and flight.
Yeah, I'll jump in here, Tommy. I think people might be, we could probably do 5 episodes on this, but basically, once you make your project, whether it's a short film, feature film, even the film poster or the film trailer, you want to make a project page on Film Freeway. Excuse me, filmfreeway.com, which kind of is a misnomer because the website is free to put your project on, but 9 times out of 10, the festivals are not free to enter. So I think a lot of times people take it for granted, Film Freeway, everything is free. It's not free. So it's more like the thought of the freeway of, the internet type of thing. So you make your project, whatever it is, a short film, a feature film, you make a project page. That only takes about 10 minutes, Tommy, to put the information, your basics, your title, maybe some still photos, a film poster, a teaser if you have one, and then the actual project. You want a Vimeo or a YouTube link, you put it on there. And now it gets a little complicated because now you have this, like I said, 7,500 or 10,000 festivals to choose from. Nobody, as far as I know, can afford to enter every festival. So like you said, you're kind of, as a filmmaker, you're in this quandary. What festivals do I enter? Which ones do I do not? Well, that's tough. And I'll just chime in with some of my opinions, Tommy. The big three, in my opinion, Tribeca, Sundance, and Cannes, they're really like a lottery. And I mean, there's nothing wrong. Vault's a great movie. So the fact that Sundance, passed on it just means they have a lot of other great movies that are entering. But you paid the entry fee, I would guess, between $75 and $150 because that festival knows that people are going to pay to enter it, So other festivals, Rhode Island International Film Festival, it's probably somewhere between $25 and $45 to enter. How can you save on entry fees? Enter your project early. Every time a festival happens, a week to a month later, they start the early bird entry process, which means enter our festival now, but we're not even going to decide for a year if your film will be selected. When you enter early bird, you typically save anywhere from 50 to 75% of the entry fee if you're a late bird and you enter at the last minute. That's a big thing. Now, sometimes, Tommy, there's the scales of balance. If you have a film that's just finished and you really want to enter this particular festival, but they're at the late entry fee already, so they're charging twice as much, do you pay it? Do you bite the bullet and pay it? Or do you save your money and enter the next year for early bird? These are questions that only each individual can answer. But the point is,
it's fun to say early bird too, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, Tommy,
just early bird.
Early bird.
They say. You think of a nice breakfast, maybe?
They say the early bird gets the worm, but the early worm gets eaten. Tommy, when I started Avalonia Festival of Short Films, etc., like you said, my festival has 3 runtime divisions: 1 minute and under, 3 minutes and under, and 21 minutes and under. And I do that really because it helps me. It helps me organize everything. You know what I mean? But the shorter films, the 1 minute and under and the 3 minutes and under, they pay less for an entry fee than the 21 minutes and under because it takes less time for me and my judge Kazaya from Japan to watch the shorter films. It takes less time, obviously. There's so much to say about this stuff, Tommy. It's pretty exciting. But I would just encourage people to be discerning. Don't feel that you have to enter every single festival because you'll go broke. And honestly, Tommy, that's why I started my own film festival, because I was spending so much money entering other people's film festivals.
No, you saw the greener pastures, did you?
I just saw it as a way to balance it out. If I'm going to be
it's a legitimate source of income, and that's something that, again, like Mike said, we could have so many different episodes just on film festivals, but you do have to be a little leery. And Mike, please don't take this the wrong way. Maybe it wasn't the best timing for a segue.
Oh, geez.
There probably are some less than reputable film festivals out there too, that basically like just take your money and then hand you they email you a piece of paper that says you came in second place, and it's like they probably never even watched the fucking movie. So buyer beware as well when you're looking at festivals.
Let me jump in as an easy way to kind of decipher a legitimate festival from a non-legitimate. Look at their website. It takes you one more click and maybe 5 more minutes to look at the film festival's website. If they don't have a website, I think you're in trouble, or they're in trouble.
They're probably bullshit.
Yeah, right. And some of these festivals just do the Facebook page or the Instagram page. And to me, if they don't have their own dedicated website, that's kind of a heads up that this festival is in it for the money grab. There's another pothole, Tommy, with sound-alike film festivals. We all heard of Cannes Film Festival, right? Well, there's a few other festivals that, because Cannes is the name of a city, they'll use, Festival Cannes or some gimmick, some variation of the theme. They're not claiming to be the Cannes Film Festival. They're just claiming to be a film festival in Cannes, and they're charging entry fees that are a bit more than they should be because they know that they're confusing the target audience. People are getting confused between their lower festival and the actual con. So there's a lot of things to look out for when
Wait a
spending
minute.
your money.
Wait a minute. These tickets are to go see Hank Sinatra?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that, and here it is, Tommy. You ready? A lot of people are just eager on some subconscious level to get screwed. A friend of mine, and
Isn't that the name? Isn't that loosely the title of your autobiography?
yeah, a friend of
Looking to
mine
get screwed.
waiting to get screwed. A friend of mine just gave up $6,000 thinking that this film producer was going to help him make a movie. And I said, "Why did you ever meet the guy in person?" No, he just wired him $6,000 based on phone calls. And Tommy, to me, that's a tragedy. And the fault is not really with the scam artist; it's with my friend who got scammed. You just wired someone $6,000 because they asked you for
Well,
it.
you know what it is, Mike, and this really is a whole nother episode. So I'm just going to say one thing about it, and we'll move on. But we've said it before. This business, unfortunately, attracts a lot of dreamers, and dreamers are very fucking vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you can sell some snake oil to a dreamer, that's for sure. And there are a lot of people that, like your friend right there, he probably said, like, deep in his subconscious, he was probably like, fuck, I know sending $6,000 to a total stranger is probably a little risky and a little crazy, but I want this so fucking bad, I'm willing to pull the trigger. And it's like, if $6,000 is going to do it, I'm going to do it. And
Right.
that's the dreamer aspect of this business that sometimes gets us in trouble. Let's check in with some of our people here. Stephen E says Vista Print, Spotlight Printing.
I think he was talking about the headshots.
All the way back to Kinko's. I still print headshots and business cards. One year I did candies. The wrapper had my headshot in the back, had my resume, and I poisoned everybody in the entire thing. I still felt bad. Just kidding. Charlie Short Films. Hi, Trinket Boy. The Trinket Boys. It's funny, Charlie. That's actually the name of our boy band. We do like tandem dancing, and we're called the Trinket Boys, and it's just getting off the ground.
We've got Lou Pearlman is
This is so
negotiating for us.
funny. Wow, this is weird. It's like he's reading my mind, because the very first album that the Trinket Boys did is called Cherry on the Cake. It's so weird. Yeah, I experienced as Cherry on the Cake by the Trinket Boys. Go on Spotify right now. You can check it out. Fly Girl is back. What's up, Fly Girl? Recalling my evolution in attending festivals. It's a different experience being at a festival when you have something screening as an actress, director, versus looking for projects to buy as a producer. That's a very insightful point, because when you're going as an actor or a director, you're there to kind of really pump your project up and meet people. When you're there as a producer to buy projects, you're kind of shopping, right? You get a little different mindset. You're at the supermarket and you're looking for groceries, and you're probably a little more focused and probably a little less apt to rub shoulders and fraternize, because you got a mission. You're there to look for movies. You're not there to do the proverbial song and dance with people. Andres, what's up, brother? Vault has it all. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And you know what? I think it's, at some point, maybe in the fall, we got to do a Vault episode soon. I'm really craving it. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I got to rewatch it, then we'll do an episode. His voice must have been amazing. Are you talking about Hank Sinatra?
Yeah.
You must be talking about Hank Sinatra. Yeah, let me tell you something. Hank doesn't get the credit he deserves. Fly Girl says exactly. Yeah, you're just shopping when you're looking for movies. Stephen E, remind me to say,
Yeah.
you're like, these wonderful chocolates from Steven. Let me try one.
We'll go right next to those hats in the garage.
Then I just pass out in a pile of Rhode Island film hats. All right, back to the show, guys. We're having a good time today. It's a Tuesday. All right, so more things you should know. We already kind of touched upon this, but get specific. Choose the right festival. If you get a horror movie, look for a horror festival. If you get a science fiction movie, look for a science fiction festival. If you get a short, comedy. Match that shit up. It ain't rocket science. Mike talked a little bit about this. You really got to have a solid press kit, right? The materials are everything. When you're going to hand in your project, it's a lot like school. And to use an old Italian-American phrase, you don't want to look all scumbadi when you send your shit in. You don't want to be like, what the fuck is this? It looks like, you did this the night before. Do you care? And I mean everything, like, don't have any fucking spelling errors in your emails. Like, make sure it's professional. Just come correct with that stuff, because everything you do represents your film indirectly, believe it or
And
not.
you, it
And
represents you too.
exactly. Be aware of the technical parameters. Mike got into that a little bit, but some festivals will want you to submit a certain type of a format. Some festivals want hard media. Some festivals don't want hard media. Figure that out. It's all going to be on their website. And like Mike said, if they don't have a website, they could be full of shit. Be careful. Um, Take advantage of those early submissions. Don't be late. Deadlines are a serious thing. You don't want to be the difficult director making the festival. The people who work the festival, usually people that run festivals, have the patience of saints. I
Right.
mean, they really have to, because think about it. They're dealing with all these filmmakers. Filmmakers, let's face it, I'm one of them. I can say this. They're probably a little crazier than the usual bag of apples. They're we're all a little passionate, maybe a little excitable. So it's like they're dealing with all these wild personalities. They're watching tons of movies. So give them a break. Don't bust their balls about like, oh, I'm going to be late a week. Is that okay? It's like don't put them in difficult positions, because it's going to look bad for you. Um, and Yeah, we talked about kind of, it'd be great to be in Sundance, wouldn't it? Really be special. It'd be the moment of your life. But if you don't have the right movie for it, you might not even want to try. And I hate that whole like, he told me not to try. Everybody should try. And it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I'd love to fly, but I'm not about to jump off of a roof and try it. Like
Well,
if you can't do it, you can't do it.
it comes down to this, Tommy. Say an entry fee, and this is not going out on a limb, but say a Sundance entry fee would be $150 for a feature for late deadline. You could spend that $150 to enter that one festival, which most likely, if you're at a point where you're entering late and they don't know who you are, et cetera, they're most likely not going to accept your film. You could take that same $150 and enter 10 other festivals, you know what I mean, that have a $15 entry fee. So it's not that we're discouraging people from taking your shot, you know what I mean? But the reality is sometimes it's not fiscally wise. And once again, it's up to the individual. We can't tell people what to do. I was going to say this, Tommy, when you're deciding what festivals to spend your money on the entry fees for, this is what I just started doing this recently, Tommy. I started saying, well, if I were to be accepted into this festival, knowing that they're not going to pay for my boarding on a plane or my, hotel for the weekend, am I in a position where I can get to this festival myself if I had to pay my own way to get there? Now, most festivals, Tommy, 99 out of 100, if you're an accepted filmmaker, they give you a nice lanyard. They give you the keys to the city, so to speak. You can see all the films and go to all the parties for free. But you still have to get yourself there, and you still have to pay for an Airbnb, which is a good way to save money, or for a hotel. Well, Tommy, last year I went to a bunch of festivals. I went to Fort Myers Beach International Film Festival. I went to one in Texas, the San Angelo Film Festival. But I paid, and I spent my own money to get there just for the honor of seeing my own film that I've seen a bunch of times on a screen. But the experiences that I had were really good. And I think that's one thing I want to resonate, Tommy, is that I started thinking more about, is this experience of value? Not, is this going to raise me to another level, or am I going to meet some great producer or some great actress or some great actor? Am I actually going to enjoy this experience that's worth the $25 to $45 entry fee and the $300 or $400 that it takes me to stay in a hotel and the $100 for gas? Is it going to be worth it? And once I started doing that, Tommy, I started entering maybe 20 to 30% less festivals.
Well, it adds up quick, Mike. I mean, look at what you just said. You $50 to enter, 100 to get there. But you're talking like, and if there's a flight involved, man, I mean, like you could easily spend minimum. And this is if you're one of those like thrifty travelers, which I'm not. I'm a fucking sucker, man. I hit every financial, like I'm not a good traveler. I
Sure.
always end up spending more than I should. It is what it is. And I'm always like, I'm traveling. It's okay. We'll spend a little extra money. We're having fun. And
Right.
like, oh, God, that trip was a fortune. You feel it when you come home. So it's like, be prepared to spend money here. And at the end of the day, I guess it's not the end of the world, because we always say this, you got to invest in yourself, because if you don't, nobody will. But Mike makes a great point. You're going to want to be at the film festival. You know, if your movie's playing and you're not there, it's like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? Not really. You know, like what's the point? Like you're not even there to experience it. So factor that shit into your decisions when you get into this thing. Okay, so we're kind of wrapping things up. You know, really at the end of the day, what it's about is just, you know, here's another point. Okay. I've fallen victim to this before. Um, what do we all want when we win a film festival, right? You know,
You want to win the prize and be
you want that
applauded.
you want that laurel, right? You want
Right.
that laurel that you can put. You never get to say that. Let's just stop and I'll say it to get that laurel that you can
Laurel.
put at the bottom of your poster. Or hell, if you're really kicking ass, some of these motherfucking posters got laurels up the ass. There's laurels on the bottom of the poster. They're coming up the side. They're on the front. And I remember being a little kid. I'm going to date myself here. I remember being a little kid in the video store and looking at like a tape, you know, like the jacket of a movie and seeing those laurels and like at a young age kind of being like, huh, like what is that? And then you'd read it a little closer and it'd say like winner of the Sundance Film Festival and you'd be like, "Oh." So it's like, "Oh, it's like a little award. It's a little badge. It's a little merit badge that you get you wear for your film." So like the laurels are great. And people, you know what? It is kind of like a simple sucker thing, but it's like people buy into that shit. They really do. So if you can win one festival and stamp that laurel at the bottom of your poster, get a little greedy. Maybe you're like, shit, I got a winner here. Man, I got a winning horse race. I got a winning racehorse right here. Get that horse into more races. You know, like if you win one festival, enter some more and get a little heat. And then before you know it, you know, you're like, oh, this has won several festivals. Yeah, I got all these goddamn laurels on my poster. And it's just going to do much better. It's going to do a lot for your film. So I guess what I'm saying is I believe in all of you. I think you can win. And if you go out and you win one, even if it's a small one, don't just be satisfied there. Don't think like, okay, I did it. I won that one film festival. Keep fucking going. Keep pumping that shit out to as many film festivals as you can. And maybe you create a little fire with this short film or feature film. And wow, we won 10 festivals. You know, it's like that stuff turns heads.
Yeah, and Tommy, just to clarify, when you enter one festival, that doesn't prevent you from entering 10 at the same time, because a lot of times they have different points of response, you know, like different selection dates and acknowledgement dates and festival dates. You know, there's so much to say here about this topic. Avalonia Festival of Short Films, etc.
You're
Tommy,
excited, Mike, aren't you, buddy? I could tell.
I mean, I like this topic.
I can see it.
I mean, I like this topic, Tommy, because I went from someone who was like spending quite a bit of money to enter festivals. I've won 65 awards among different projects, among different types of festivals, etc. But for me, like I said, the entry fees were killing me, and I think
you can't beat them, join them.
Well, I basically said I need to start my own festival to see. To make some money to enter other people's festivals. And Tommy, once I did that, I kind of realized that some of the same thrill of entering someone else's festival and even going to that festival, if I got selected, I'm kind of having that same void filled by running my own festival. It's kind of the same little rush. It's kind of like if you're an eBay shopper and you get a little thrill by buying some collector's card or some action figure on eBay. If you sell something on eBay, it's a very similar rush. Kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, you're seeing what life's like on the other side, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I've had some great times at film festivals. We talked a little bit earlier about the Rhode Island Film Festival. You know, I was a executive producer on a movie called documentary called Man in Red Bandana.
Yes,
which was a winner at the Rhode Island Film Festival many years back, handful of years back.
Played in East Greenwich at the theater. Is it called the Odeum on East Greenwich?
Yeah, and it was really great. I mean, listen, you know, I don't want to just like romanticize winning anything, but like it's a pretty big high when you're at a festival and total strangers come up to you and say, "Hey, we just saw your movie. It's terrific," and you end up winning. It's a great feeling, and you know, I can still kind of close my eyes and imagine what that feeling was like, and those kind of things motivate you. So we're not saying this isn't all just a big stroke. Mike mentioned it earlier. Enjoy the experience. If lightning is caught in a bottle and the planets align for you, and you're able to come home with a win or a trophy or something, it's a great fucking feeling that you should try to take advantage of. So, again, this stuff's real easy. All the reputable places have a paint by the numbers account of how you enter and submit. Just read the directions, you'll be good. And enjoy it and get your movie out there. Hell, make this the motivation to make a movie, even if it is, like Mike said, like you just want to explore and make a 2-minute film just to kind of see, just want to shoot one little scene in your backyard and just submit it to a very small film festival with a micro movie just to see what it's like. It's an exciting thing. So I recommend y'all trying it out. And also, I wanted to, before I get into some of these comments and we wrap things up, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, the 29th, I want everybody to check out on the Lifetime Movie Network, LMN, it's called. There's a movie that I was in called Sins of the Preacher's Wife. So check it out. It's a pretty cool movie. I get to play a very wacky character in it. I don't want to say too much about it. But yeah, Sins of a Preacher's Wife.
Was that Denise Richards I saw in the movie, Tommy?
No, it's not Denise Richards. That's Anna Marie Dobbins.
Okay.
But it's interesting because she probably does kind of look a little bit like she has a little bit of. I mean, she's in that same look.
You've worked with her before, haven't you?
I have. I directed Anna Marie Dobbins
in the Christmas movie.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't direct her. My friend Dan Hunter directed.
Oh yes.
Silly Dan forgets things sometimes, but Dan Hunter directed her in a movie called Mr. Birthday, and she's a terrific.
Oh, she's the female lead in Mr. Birthday. Yeah, she's great. She's great.
And she's great in this movie. So, yeah, check that one out, and don't be sure.
Hey, Tommy. As another cross-reference, you mentioned Man in the Red Bandana. I believe that was episode, I want to say 15 on this very podcast and action film podcast. We did a whole episode on that documentary about.
No, that's actually our most watched episode.
That's a very important episode and a very important movie because it's about one of the few people that was able to rescue people before the Twin Towers collapsed. So
yeah,
it's an important one.
It's a very emotional film, and if you haven't seen Man in Red Bandana, check it out. But yeah, Sins of the Preacher's Wife is coming out next week on LMN. Yeah, Lifetime Movie Network. I always got a little dyslexia kicks in every now and then. Give me a break, guys. But yeah, check that one out next week, next Thursday, the 29th. You're going to see a strange side of me, and I'm very strange. I'm a strange person. All right, let's get into it over here. Scrolling. Okay, I just got back to when Steven threatened me with the deadly chocolates. Here yes. We are. And Vault was amazing. It was better than The Kitchen, which was a similar film. Thank you. I'll have to check out The Kitchen. Thank you, man. I put everything I had into that movie, and
it was a good one.
You get a little lucky, and sometimes you make your own luck, and that was one of those.
Miss Ash.
What up, Miss Ash? I gotta say, I'm surprised that Mike didn't see your name and immediately try to sell you some books this week. But I do see he's going.
Thanks for reminding me. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Oh, he's going to get them. Fly Girl says, amazing advice to submit to niche.
Right, Tom, I gotta get my book.
Gets me, man. I say niche, but I think some people say niche. But maybe it's a tomato thing. Niche film festivals for the genres. Howdy, Miss Ash. Everybody's we're building a little film community here, right on And Action. Charlie says the research for right film festivals is time consuming but worth it. I can imagine because there's nothing worse than submitting to a festival. It's going to be a complete shit show. Sully's Cafe. What's up, brother? Good to see you, my friend. Howdy, Jen. Howdy, Sully. We're all saying what's up. Fly Girl says, I like to collect laurels like Pokemon, also for the negotiations and distribution. You gotta catch them all, right? And yeah, it really is. That I wasn't bullshitting when I said, like, people really do take notice to that. And listen, it's not bullshit. It's like, hey, the average film festival maybe has, 500 submissions, and yours was the best. It's a big deal, man. You beat a lot of people for that, Charlie says, Hardy needs Laurel. and Abbott needs
Oh,
Costco.
yes, yes.
Good topic. We appreciate that. Thank you, Miss Ash. I see Mike has settled in. His hair's a little flustered.
Well, no, I mean,
He
she
was
was
quick.
she wanted to know
All
about
right,
the
show
books.
off the
I
book
mean,
quick, Mike. I'll give you
there's
5 seconds. Go.
there's a distance from Avalon, hardcover and paperback, Miss Ash, and they're available through MikeMessier.com, through Amazon. Tommy, I did want to say
All right,
that
5 seconds.
these festivals, there's so much diversity. It's kind of like talking about film festivals. We might as well be talking about different types of films. You know, like I said, there's at least 7,500, if not 10,000, film festivals in the world currently. So you have to do your research. You have to be discerning. Don't just start giving people your money through PayPal. It's not magic money. The same money you're spending on a film festival entry, you could be buying lunch. You know, putting food on your table. I mean, that's the
Weed.
same.
You could be
Yeah.
buying weed.
Anything. So it's the same money. And I think sometimes, Tommy, people can justify things like, "Hey, I have to enter film festivals, otherwise I won't be rich and famous as a filmmaker." That's true to some extent, but to another extent, you can't just spend your money on film festival entries thinking that there's an endless supply of that money, unless you happen to be in a situation where there is an
I
endless
think what
supply.
Mike is saying in short, don't be a sucker. I mean, listen, there's a lot of, wolves in sheep's clothing out there. And remember what we said about dreamers and the vulnerability of dreamers. And just make sure that you got your head somewhat screwed on when you're having these daydreams about your film career. Don't be a sucker, because there's a lot of fucking cash predators out there. All right. Crazia says, hello, Crazy. I don't know that we've ever had you on. So, first time commenter. If you're not, I apologize, but it's good to see you. Is the preacher's wife sinning with me?
Wow, crazy.
Well, you know what? You're just going to have to tune in next week on Lifetime Movie Network and check it out on the 29th and find out yourself. Fly Girl says, ooh, Daddy DiNucci getting in some sin. Again,
Oh.
well, first off, I appreciate that. I'm not a father, but it was Father's Day, so it's appropriate for Daddy DiNucci. But no, we're going to find out next week. I can't say anything. Otherwise, the Lifetime Movie Police will come and get me.
I think that they should make Father's Day and Juneteenth like a 3-day weekend, Tommy. I mean, we got 2 holidays back to back. Why not make a nice 3-day weekend for everybody?
It really should be a 3-day weekend. It's a joke that it's not. Okay, Miss Ash is laughing because she's currently whipping out her credit card to send Mike some cash
Thanks,
for
Miss Ash.
her books. She just bought. I heard Miss Ash is actually going to just buy a couple dozen of them, and come Christmas time, give one to everybody. Merry
I think
here's a film book. All right,
when
come on, you got your promos in. Ariana, what's up, Ariana? Great topic this week. Been listening and absorbing. Can't wait to see the sins of a preacher's wife. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited for this one, man. I'm a fucking nut in this movie.
sounds like a very southern movie, like a very Alabama or Georgia, like southern Georgia type
I
of
feel
movie.
like we should be right in the Bible Belt with this one.
All you have to do, Miss Ash, is go to MikeMessier.com, and then all my books are
Bless her
prominently
heart.
listed.
Bless her heart for being so supportive.
Thanks, Miss Ash.
Good Lord. Okay, we're having fun today. I just want to thank everybody for joining along with us. Next week, it's our 50th. That's right. 50th
Wow.
episode of And Action. And it's been a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed all the friends that I've made. And I think we're going to make a lot more friends with the next 50. So next week, we're just going to be reflecting a little bit. We're going to call it Reflecting on Film. We're going to talk about where we were like a year ago when we started this show and where we are now with our careers, and how much a lot can change in a year, change for the worse, change for the better. You got to keep your head on a swivel if you're a filmmaker, if you're an actor, if you're a producer. This is a wild, wild ride that we're on. So next week, we're just going to kind of reflect a little bit, maybe talk a little bit about some of our favorite moments. But I promise, don't think of this as one of those episodes. Like, do you remember back in the sitcom day where they'd have the rerun episodes where it would be the family's on the couch and
Remember that time?
we can't go outside because it's raining, but do you remember the time we stole Mom's car and drove it into the house, and then they'd play all the bullshit rerun clips? This ain't a clip show next week. So it's going to be all new stuff, all new topics, but we're just going to be reflecting, and we'd love for you to reflect upon things with us. So join us, follow along. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, please do. It's, just punch in Tom DiNucci Film. You'll find me. And Action is coming at you every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Yeah, we really appreciate all the love, support, conversation, good ideas. And we're just having a lot of fun. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. Mike, do you have any last words?
I think next week would be a great week for viewer feedback, viewer comments. If you want to go back in our back catalog on Tom DiNucci YouTube channel, all the 49, including this one, previous episodes are there. We encourage you to copy and paste the URL, share them to your Twitter, your Instagram. Andres does that for us. Stephen E. Kim Kaling does that for us. A lot of the viewers have been very helpful in sharing this show. One Mike Messier is one of my YouTube's channels. One Man in a Camera Films is my other, and One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan is the third.
Right,
And Tom,
check it out. Miss Ash is going to get a book for everybody in the chat.
that's very nice of you, Miss Ash. Thank you.
Christmas time. It's going to be like Santa Claus with
Well,
throwing them like frisbees at people.
and Tommy, I think a great follow up to this episode would be how to avoid scams in the entertainment world. I'd love to jump in with that because
that would be a fun one.
The topic of film.
There's so many suckers out there, unfortunately, and there are so many fucking scam artists, right down to the headshot scams.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that just reminds me when I was like 18 and I just started acting, I got scammed so fucking bad on headshots. It was like one of these like model club headshot things. Like, oh, we've selected you. And then you got to pay them a bunch of money.
Yeah.
We'll talk all about that. That's a great topic. We're going to do that.
Good. I want to thank you, Tommy, for hosting again. This has been a lot of fun. And it's just so many things we can talk about. Look us up on our social medias. Tommy's on Instagram, very active. I'm on Instagram to a lesser extent. But Facebook is big for me. Twitter's big for me. And good to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you too, brother. Thank you for watching along, everyone. We'll see y'all next week on And Action, episode 50. Bye, guys.